Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Everything's broken. Here's the thing. I tried to fix it. I tried to fix it before stream. But then when stream actually happened, there's a lot of things that I didn't account for. So I had to slowly fix those. And apparently this is broken. I think I can fix this, though. I can fix this. There we go. Yeah, okay, so if you didn't know, Twitch completely deprecated one of their older APIs on Monday. So on February 28th, they actually sunsetted the was it Kraken or Helix? I always forget which one's which. Kraken. They deprecated the Kraken API. And so a lot of my apps were using their older API. I never updated them. The thing is, like, when I coded the thing in the Twitch docs, it said, this API is deprecated. You shouldn't use it. But the thing is, the API that you're supposed to use was often like missing properties that I wanted. And the newer API requires an OAuth token for everything, whereas the old one didn't. It only required an OAuth token for things that actually needed someone to be authenticated. Regardless, we sort of fixed the issue. There's going to be some broken things today, but that's fine. I think, yeah, someone's image was broken. I'm hoping it's just cached, and maybe it'll update in like 30 minutes or something like that. But yeah, welcome in, everyone. Here's what we're going to do today. And there's going to be broken things. Exactly, one computer guy. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to build an overlay game. And for those of you that don't know, this is my dog, Panzer. He's a St. Bernard. He weighs 142 pounds. And last week, he turned 6 years old. ! Panzer in the chat. You can see a video of him. Yeah, we've got Panzer emotes on the channel here if you're a sub. But this is my dog. And what we're going to do is we are going to build a game called Pin the Tail on the Pig. So we call him Pig. Pig. His name is Panzer, but we call him Pig. So what we're going to do, and I've already like removed the background on this thing. So we're going to make a little overlay game where Pig shows up somewhere random on my screen, and then you'll be able to send chat messages that allow you to try and pin a tail on him. And it'll reset after a few minutes. The person closest wins. And then it'll reset the location, then you'll try to pin the tail on it from there. So that's the plan for today. It should be pretty fun. What do you all think? Smile in chat if that sounds like a good idea. Type anything else in chat if you don't care. I don't know. These broken APIs have really gotten to me. Nice. Thank you for the smile, Saltio. Great. So here's the thing. I'm pretty sure I did fix the drop game. So if you do !drop me in the chat, I think that actually works. And yeah, you all have been dropping. I mean, you haven't been able to see it because the stream's been broken. But the drop game works. at least I fixed that. Cool. Great. Yeah. Now, I mean, I have complaints about the Twitch API because specifically the subs endpoint. So they have this migration guide. But if you look at like channel subs, it's missing a created app property. So that's why I was using the old API for the longest time. Yeah, we used Kaboom.js to build a Flappy Bird-like thing a few streams ago. Kaboom seemed really cool. We liked it. But yeah, this API endpoint now in the newer one is missing a created at property. So I don't know when a Twitch subscriber became a subscriber, and I don't know any way to get that. And then another weird thing, which, I mean, I get updates or progress or whatever, but like, this is a serious breaking change. This property used to be called name. Now it's called login. I guess, which is fine because that's more likely what it is, but why? Why couldn't you just keep it the same property name, you know? I don't know. Okay. Let's write some code. I'm not gonna complain about that a bunch. First of all, I need to like crop this image so we can use it a little bit better. So let me do this. Yeah, here's the thing. Like their API is easier to use than like the YouTube API, which is like where I'm coming from. Can I? Here we go. Like I much prefer it over the YouTube API, and that's really like that's my alternative here. Like if I'm not streaming on Twitch, I'm streaming on YouTube, and it is much better than the YouTube API. But oh, did we go down? We should be back. We're back in the red. Here's the thing. Smile whenever you can see me again. Nice, cool, fun. Glad to hear it. I mean, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm glad you got your first dev job. Glad to hear it. Okay, you can see me. Smile if you can see me. Refresh. They heard me talking about their API. No, here's the other. There's a lot of things going on my home network that that would make things go wrong. But I actually installed a firewall. Installed a firewall on my network, like a firewall appliance. And I think that has something to do with why my streaming computer keeps disconnecting. I don't really have the time to debug it. But right now, we're streaming at over 3,000 kilobits a second. Oh wait, it just went down to 2,900. Hopefully we stay up. I don't know. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a new image from the clipboard. Beautiful. I'm gonna save this. Great. This is all I was trying to do. We have a picture of my dog, and it's nice and small, and we can put it on a web page. Let's run a quick vote. So for those of you that are just joining us, I mean, it looked like the number jumped up. Maybe some of you dropped. I don't know. But we are going to build an overlay game where you will be able to pin the tail on the pig. So this is my dog. We call him Pig. And we're going to build a game where he shows up in some random location on the screen. And then using chat commands, you will attempt to pin a tail on him. And the person who has the tail closest wins. And then it'll reset to a new location. You can try again. So that's what we're building. And now we're going to run a vote on what we should build it. Run a poll on what we should build it with. My dog is named Panzer. Your dog's named Panzer too. That's great. Is yours a big dog like mine? Should we use React? Should we use Vue? Or should we use vanilla JS? Or should we use Svelte? These are your options. Vote now. He's a medium-sized dog built like a tank. Nice. Vite? Can we use Vite with Svelte? Does Vite have a Svelte template? They do. Look at that, they do. Is that gonna sway the vote at all? I mean, all the React people are showing up today. We've got tons of support. I appreciate you all. I'm glad at least these events are coming through. Though I didn't see those bits pop up on my screen. And Bamba Lambda, thank you for that Prime sub before I even started streaming. Appreciate that. And DevM, thank you for the 14 months. Mike Broody with the 17 months. Tim A with the 17. Callow, oh, what's up, dude? Thanks for dropping in. Sorry, I missed that. Shout out to our friend Callow Creation. Oh God, my bot's broken. Go here. I forgot that's one other thing I didn't update. It was my bot. It's using the old endpoint to find information. We're gonna do a manual shout out. Twitch.tv/CallowCreation. Click that link, drop a follow. Thanks for being here, friend. Thanks for the support. And Junk Time Lord, thank you for the 20 bits, who says, my talk proposal got accepted yesterday, so I'll be attending my first in-person tech convention. Nice! Glad to hear it. You'll have to let us know what the conference is, so we can check it out. And Fob, thank you for the 13 months. We Too with the Prime, and NM Frets, thank you for the 1,000 bits. And React is the winner. I mean, only 60 people or so voted. My stream is skipping. Is it skipping for anyone else? I mean, I believe it. I can believe it because like I can see OBS. I mean, it's in the green. It's streaming at like 3,000 kilobits per second, but it fluctuates. And though I thought like technically, I should be streaming at like 6,000 though because it's 1080p. Let's see what we're doing here. There you go. I just bumped it up. I don't know why I've never done that before. Now we're streaming 6,000 kilobits a second. Okay. Actually, I think the latency should actually be lower now that I've done that. I don't know. Let's build this thing with React, and here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try Vite with React, but if I don't get hot reloading, auto refresh development, we're gonna scrap it and use Create React App because that was the issue that we had last time when we tried to use Vite with React. So here we go. Vite is a build tool. You could compare it to something like Webpack, but it does things cooler in a cooler way. That's how I'll explain it. And it was built by the person that maintains and is the core contributor to Vue.js, but it works with other front-end frameworks. As you can see, I'm using it with React now. Let's see if it works. I don't want to use port 3000. Shouldn't it pick a different port? Because I believe that port is in use. Let's see. Port? How do I change the port? Server port. Server options? Where do the server options go? Do they go here? Try again. There we go. All right, we got a React app. We can click the button to increase the count. That's beautiful. There's no errors in the console. We're going to try one thing. We're going to update this component, and if it doesn't auto refresh, I'm going to delete this folder and use Create React App. So hello, Vite React updated. Save. It refreshed. Great. Great. Okay. So let's go ahead and make a to-do of what we need to get done here. And let me rename this. That was smooth. Yeah. Wait, why is caps lock on? Also, my keyboard's misbehaving. Everything's going wrong today. Okay. Pin the tail on the pig. All right, we need pig appears in a random location on the screen. That's step 1. So we'll get that done. And 2, we will listen for Twitch chats. We're specifically going to listen for the pin command. So exclamation mark pin followed by an X coordinate, Y coordinate. And you'll have to guess the X and Y coordinate because, I mean, for those of you that know what you're doing, you could probably do something to really figure out what the coordinates are going to be. But I'm going to build this thing with the assumption that that's funny, Mark. And if you weren't here earlier, you won't even know what it's referring to, but it's funny. But I'm going to assume that the thing is going to be in a random location and it's going to be harder for you to determine what the XY coordinates are. That's what we're going to do initially. If someone can think of a way to make it harder, we'll do that later. But initially, that's what we'll do. When someone runs that command, we will put a tail on the page at the given coordinates. And we will include the user's name on the thing. A polar coordinate system. we'll make it easy to begin with. And that's about it. And then we'll say after X minutes, the board resets. Circular cipher. Huh. But the thing is, like, if you make it too hard, then it actually does become fairly random. Like, it's almost like a random winner, even if people are giving very specific coordinates. Would screen resolutions not affect the coordinate bounds? I'm going to scale everything. So the XY is going to be between, it's for a screen that's 1920 by 1080. But regardless of whatever screen size it's displayed to, I'll still map that back to the screen size that it is here. But your coordinates will be some point on a 1920 by 1080 screen. Yeah. I'm not in software and game development because I think I'm going to chat. I mean, I talk a lot. I don't know. Stony Eagle, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. Glad you're here. We're building a game. It's called Pin the Tail on the Pig. This is Pig. He's my dog. And you're going to try to pin a tail on him. Okay, so this is what we're going to build. I think, I don't know if there's anything else we need here. Seems fine. Let's get it going. So the chat voted we are going to use React. I don't know why that happened a second time. Okay. Oh, like if you're shooting a dart. I like that, Leak Geek. It's going to be harder to do that, but we're going to put this under stretch. Pins act like darts with acceleration and power and may not, so like you're aiming at a specific spot, but you may not make it there and may not hit exact coordinates. I like that. Like that. Yeah, this is the photo of Pig. Here he is. And actually, a little bit of information about this photo. We were on a road trip, and we stopped to get some gas, and this specific gas company, that I won't say out loud because I'm basically already advertising them right now by saying this right now, they have a dog park. Like, literally, you could stop, get some snacks, get some gas, and then they have a fenced-in area where you can let your dog run around, which is crazy. I'd never seen that before. But that's where we took that picture. And that's him. Okay, here we go. So chat voted. We're using React. Let's get this thing set up and remove all the extra stuff. So we're going to remove that. Remove that. We will have a div, but it's just going to be like that. Hello. And we'll remove the CSS. We'll remove the logo. Seems good. I'm gonna make everything box sizing border box. And then this is bringing in that, which is bringing in that. Seems fine. All right. This is actually React. Yes, it is. All right. The page says hello. That's a good sign. Now, we need some sort of like game state. Yeah, I'm going to create a function that says get initial game state. So this is going to be a function that creates a random XY coordinate and puts it into some state. So we're going to return an object where the pig is a property on there that is an object, and it has an X location. We're going to say math.random times window dot inner width. Yeah. We're going to math.floor that. So this is going to give us a random number between 0 and the width of the screen. That's going to be the X coordinate. And then the Y coordinate will be very similar. Window.inner height. Like that. Cool. And then I'm actually going to have this be a percentage value instead of like an explicit XY coordinate. So we'll take this random value and then divide it by the width, and take this value and divide it by the height. So now we have an XY that is actually a percentage of the screen, instead of like an exact pixel coordinate. And actually, I think that's how you'll do your guessing as well. So it'll be like 0.1 space 0.2, and then that will just get translated into whatever coordinates are on the screen. That should be fine. Okay, so that's going to give us the initial game state. We're going to have a actual state variable in our React component called game state. And 0, 0 is the top left corner. Yeah. So the way the browser coordinates work is 0, 0 is top left, and 1, 1 will be top right, or bottom right. Sorry. So we're gonna initially get the game state like this. So when our oh yeah, you're totally right. I mean, I could just do out of 100. Yeah, you're totally right. And just get a random value between 0 and 1. That's all I need to do. I just need a random value between 0 and 1. Though will math.random ever give us one, or is it only ever going to be yeah, then we don't need to floor it. I need to look up math.random, because if the maximum possible value is 0.999999, we need it to be between a maximum possible value of 1. Yes. Inclusive of 0 but not 1. So the maximum possible value is 0.99999999. That's fine. You'll just never be able to get it in the far bottom right corner. I don't want to floor it though, because if I floor it, it removes the value entirely. Like, I literally just want a value between 0 and 1 for both of these. and 0, 0 is the top left corner, and 1, 1 will be the bottom right corner. But you'll never be able to get completely in the bottom right corner. You can just do 0.9999999 space 0.9999999. Okay, that should be fine. So when our app component first loads, we're going to get this initial random location, and it will it'll stay that way. I mean, one thing I could do is let's say the game state starts off like this, and then I could do use effect. So the moment it mounts for the first time, then we say get initial game state like this. That way this function isn't called every single render. I prefer this. All right, now that we have that, we need to put Panzer on the screen. So we're going to do images / panzer.png. Why is this complaining? Unexpected token. I'm in a file that is .jsx, and ESLint does not know how to handle that. Guess it doesn't matter. I'm going to create a folder called images in here, and I'm going to copy this Panzer in. He goes there. Nope. There he is. We're going to rename it to Panzer. And then we'll actually just have to import this in. So I can say something like this. Actually, does Vite support importing or loading images? Let's see. Let's see if this works. And then this, instead of being like a relative path, will be like the built location of it. Oh, I need to close that image tag. Hooks can only be called inside the body of a function component. This isn't a hook. Line 2. Oh, how did that happen? Thanks, Dadu Yoshi. Appreciate that. It tried to do an auto import. Yeah, there we go. It works. That's a dog. Now we want to put this dog at that random location. Yeah, so I think I technically could have put it just in the folder itself, but the way this works is like it's actually going to copy this over. I believe it's going to give it, like, if we look at the actual URL of this, it probably gives it like a hashed name. Oh, it doesn't. It just throws it in there. Cool. Okay. So we have the game state. We want to actually put it at that location, and we're just going to do that with some CSS. So I think I'm just going to add a style attribute like this. So we want the... Should we do a CSS transform? I think we'll do a CSS transform. So we want to transform. We want to translate with the GameState.x location and GameState.y location. And if we make this just a percentage value, so multiply that by 100, now it's a percentage value. And now we just put the percent on it. Like that. It didn't work. Oh, and this needs to be GameState.panzer.x or .pig. Yeah, we will prevent it from being off the screen, and we will prevent it from Yeah, like putting it like halfway on the screen. So we will need the image width and height. Great. So if we look at this buddy, his x coordinate is 94% and his y coordinate is 0.9. If we refresh, something happened. Let's look at the console. Can't access property. Yeah, you're totally right. So if gamestate.pig is not a thing, we do not do this. So only show the image if gamestate.pig is a thing. I'm not saying you didn't tell me. I just there's a lot going on. Okay, so 15% only puts it there. Let's get. I want to. Okay, that's better. I want to see it like down here. Is it ever going to be down here? Our random values are like swaying towards higher on the screen. Oh, I see. So 73% is here. We need to fix that. It's yeah, it's based on the body height, and right now the body does not take up the whole thing. So we actually want the body to have a height of 100 view height and a width of 100 view width, and overflow is hidden. So now it takes up the whole page, and there should be, yeah, so the body is there. Oh, we need root to take up 100% of that. Width 100%, height 100%, and then there's likely, let's call it an app class inside of root. So if we give this a class of app, now root takes up 100%, app takes up 100%, and then our image is within it. Okay. So the y coordinate, yeah, that's what's happening. The Ghastly Raven. How do I make it relative to the parent? Shouldn't it be relative to the parent? Can't I use Tailwind for the root styles here? Yeah, but why would I? Like, I'm writing my CSS in a CSS file like it was meant to be, and then that CSS file is loaded. So yeah. Transform is relative? Okay, then we're not going to use a CSS transform. We're just going to use this. We're going to say position is fixed, and then the top is going to be, yeah, we're just going to use top and left. I wanted to be fancy and use a CSS transform, but I guess not. And then left is X%. There we go. He's down there. You see? So 93%, 86%. That's making sense. Cool. And then he's over there, and he's over there. Great. Now, here's the issue. If we don't want him to show up on the screen, then we need to calculate, we need to make sure that this x coordinate, the maximum value is minus the width of the image, and the y is minus the height of the image. Now, the easy way to do this would be to give this image a fixed width and height. So this is 170, you can't see it, but it's 176 by 60 pixels. And if we just assume that it's always going to be that size, easy. But what if we want it to be like a percentage of that? We're just going to assume fixed width and height. So 176 by 60. So if we assume fixed width and height, it makes everything easier. So 176 pixels and 160 pixels. Yeah. Because, I mean, otherwise, so here's, let me take you through a thought experiment. Let's say we wanted to have a dynamically sized image. What we would need to do, and like, let's say the CSS said width 10%. So now it's 10% of the total width. What we would have to do is we would need to load the image onto the page at 10% width, then use like DOM JavaScript to get the computed or calculated width, and then use that value in our calculation. In React, that's actually pretty tricky because we actually have to do an initial render to get the image onto the page to get its width, so that way we can use this value in this function. Basically, by hard coding it, it makes everything easier, because now we can just subtract this value here. So we want this whole thing. We want a random value between 0 and 1. But not quite. We want the maximum value to be minus the width. So this is going to be math.random times the maximum possible value is going to be 1 minus the width, which is 176, out of the width of the page, which is window.innerWidth. Right? So that's going to give us a percentage of the page based on its current width and the width of the image. And then now that is the maximum possible value of math.random. And then we'll do the same thing here. The reason I'm wincing is because, like, we already took the we took the width out of the equation, and now we're adding it back in. Well, this is fine. And then we do the same thing with height and 160, which is the value there. So now we messed up. That did not work. As you can see, it's off the page already. Oh yeah, you're totally right. We need more parentheses. Just add more parentheses, and that should do it. All right, this is the winner. Now, no matter what I do, he will never appear off of the page. Fantastic. Okay. 170. I don't think so. Let's see. So Panzer, no, he's 176 by 160. So we got that. So 176 is the width, 160 is the height. Yeah, he's got the zoomies for sure. All right. We've got a random Panzer on the page. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, now I need to allow you all to try and pin a tail onto the page. So we need a pigtail. I'm gonna search I don't want to get images of like dead pigs on my screen, so I'm gonna hide my screen while I find an image of a pigtail. I want like an animated one. I'm getting like women's hairstyle pigtail. I don't want that. I want an animal pigtail. How do I differentiate between animal pigtails and human pigtails? I don't want to. No, I don't want to use Panzer's tail. I want like a cartoon pigtail, like a literal pig's tail. Well, I searched with 2 words, pigtail, and that was giving me human pigtail. Yeah, I like that idea. Pig's tail. Thank you, Aston Spark. Okay. This works. I kind of just need to crop it out of these photos. Add minus hair to your search. Yeah, I guess that would remove any search that had a hair in it. All right, I think I found a good one. But is it free? Yeah, so free for commercial use, no attribution required. That's what we like to see. Though, okay, I'll show you what I'm looking at. I thought I liked this, but it's actually kind of cut off. So I'm gonna keep looking. but I will search Pixabay because I mean, I could draw one. This is actually a very simple drawing. But let's find ourselves a big. Vector graphics. There we go. This is a good one, and then we can edit it. But this also is free for commercial use, no attribution required. That's our pigtail. That's the pigtail we want. So I'm gonna download this, and then like crop it out, or like edit the image to only get the tail. Okay, it's a WebP format, and macOS Preview apparently can't open that. That makes sense, Alistar Place. That makes sense. Just do a quick rough sketch of it. But we're the artist team and the game dev all in one, so we gotta. I mean, we actually don't have to. But rename it to .png. Let's see. Oh no, didn't want to do that. No. Yeah, macOS Preview cannot open a WebP image. Oh well. Yeah, our friend Tony from Newbie Tuesday. He's an artist. He has a graphic design degree. He used to draw us stuff all the time. Okay, here we go. The URL is invalid or has expired. Pixabay won't let me download it because I think if I download it, I can actually get it as a PNG. Does anyone want to draw me a pigtail? I need a pigtail. I need a pigtail that looks like this, that has a transparent background. Does anyone volunteer to do that? And in the meantime, we'll use a placeholder. Anyone? What do I think of the MacBook Pro M1? I don't know much about them. But what I do know is when this MacBook dies, I am just going to use a Linux computer. I'm done with Mac. I mean, it's a good computer, at least for now. Mark Boots, thank you. I appreciate you. Cool. All right. So this is what we're working with. I've got this, which I just screenshotted, but it doesn't have a transparent background because I screenshotted it. Mark Boots is going to create us a version of this, and we appreciate them for that. Okay. I'm gonna throw this in images, and then we'll get it going. So basically, we are going to have a state variable that is something like pinned tails. And pinned tails is going to be an array. And each value inside that array is going to have a username, like Coding Garden. And then it's going to have an x coordinate, like 0.2. And a y coordinate like 0.7. And then like a created at time. like this. Great. So when someone sends a chat message, it's going to put something into the array that looks like this. And then in our UI, we can just iterate over them. So we'll say, we'll map. That's going to give us the pin. And then we do something like this. The alt text is just pin. The source is going to be the pin image, or the tail image. We'll have the pin.y, pin.x, and then we need to figure out the width and the height of the tail, which is 138 by 134. We actually don't even need to specify this because it'll be automatic, but it's fine to leave it. And then we need to import it in. So we'll say the tail image is images tail.png, and it's there. Okay, so there should be a random tail on the screen, and there is not. We need to multiply this by 100. This point value. Actually, when in the chat, you'll specify a percentage without the percent sign, but a percentage on the page like that. Let's see what we got though. It is not there. Pinned tails. X. Y. Oh, what? I specified the function wrong. It wasn't returning anything. So there we go. Actually, I want it to be smaller than that, so I'm gonna half it. So what's 138 divided by 2? 69. And what's 134 divided by 2? 67. Great. Great. All right, so people are going to be pinning. It's going to show up in random places on the page. Great. So now I'm actually going to hook up the Twitch chat. So instead of just having like this fixed version like this, we'll hook up the Twitch chat. You can send a chat message, and it's going to push into this array. So for that, we need TMI.js, which is this. I've tried in the past directly installing TMI into a React app, but when you do that, it thinks it's in node.js, and there's things it doesn't have access to. So what we're actually going to do is just download the Minified JavaScript, this one. And we'll use it directly. Yeah, we're just going to put it in there. We'll just put it like that. Let's see how this is going to work. I don't know how this will work with Svelte, but hopefully it will work. So in our source directory, I think, yeah, we have tmi.js. So in our index.html, that was loading the main file. But before we do that, it's not type module, and we want to load source/tmi.min.js like this. Let's see if anything breaks when I do this. There's an error in the console. Each child in a list should have a key. That's fine. I just forgot to do that. So this should be fine. That should give us access to TMI. And the key here is going to be pin.username, because each person can only pin one thing. Cool. It's about to sneeze. I will show you now, BTBAP, what TMI does. It's not doing anything yet, but we're gonna make it do the thing. So you can see in their example code here, basically we can anonymously connect to Twitch chat, which is what we want to do. So I'm going to do that in this use effect here, because I only want to connect to Twitch chat once when the component loads. So the code's going to look like this. I want to connect to the Coding Garden channel. And then when we get a message, we will do something with it. And so for now, we're just logging it to the console. Let's see if this works. So now, if I clear everything, reload the page, if you send something in the chat, it should do that. Moderator, hello. That's a funny name. So yeah, it's working. We're getting Twitch chats in our React code. And so now we can do something with it. So we'll do some actual validation here. So we'll say the args is message.split on spaces. And the command and its input is args like this. And I guess the rest of these are the args. So if someone sends a message like pin 2030, if we split that on spaces, we're going to get an array of 3 things. The first thing in the array is going to be the command, !pin, and then args is going to be an array that includes those 2 things. So that's good. And then right here, we'll just validate it. So we'll say if the command is equal to pin, do the thing. Now we need to validate the x and the y coordinate. So right now, x and y will come from args. And we'll say if isnan, I always forget which isnan we should use. So there's just a built-in isnan. That's the one we want, because that string, if converted to a number, is nan. But if you use number.isnan, that will only tell you if something itself is nan. So number.isnan gives us back false. So we want just this. Is none. Return. Return. So if x or y are not a number, just don't do anything. We're done here. But if they are numbers, then we're going to put them into or onto the page. I'm gonna do this. Let's say so here's what I'm contemplating in my head here. I want to put onto the game state whether someone has pinned to the page or not. So that way you can't pin more than one. Oh yeah, we need more validation. You're right. So it needs to be a number between 0 and 100, right? So we'll validate that as well. But what we also want to validate is if they already have a pin on the page. Now, we could include in our game state like usernames. And these would be all the people that have pinned already, and then we'll reset that every time the game resets. But why I'm hesitating is because like I don't want to do a React state update to put the username in that object on like every single time. Because it's not actually being used in the render function at all. It's just being used here. So I'm gonna do a bad thing. I'm actually I'm just gonna modify this directly. I'm not even gonna do a state update. It should be fine. Yeah, it should be fine. But yeah, you're right, Bixario. We technically could do this. We could do x comma y like this. I like that because that's gonna if they're undefined, this is gonna fail. Let's actually just create a little validator function so we don't have to write it twice. is valid coordinate value. So if the value is nan, return false. And then we want to return value is greater than or equal to 0, and value is less than or equal to 100. Like that. We've decided 100. So our example one has an x of 20 and a y of 70. So it's basically a percentage. So this is 20% x and 70% y. So when you send a message in the chat, you'll use a number between 0 and 100. Yeah. Okay. We could do find, but then that's the other issue, is that runs on every single render or every time a message comes in, and that's, I mean, the page will probably be fine because it's not that many, but yeah. So if x is not a valid coordinate or y is not a valid coordinate, we're done. But if they are, we can keep going. And so we'll also verify if... See, that's the other issue. If I want to access game state inside of this use effect, I have to put it as a dependency, but then this use effect is changing that dependency. Not that I couldn't figure this out, but like this is why React hooks aren't that straightforward. Like, I mean, technically I would want to put this in a separate use effect, and then it could rerun every time the game state changed. However, I actually don't want to reconnect to Twitch every time the game state changes, so I would need to put this into a state variable. There's a lot of dilemmas here, so this is how I'm going to solve it. I'm not going to use React state at all. I'm just going to create a map. So we'll say users. And we'll modify this here. Does a map have... Yeah, it does have a clear function, so great. Let's do this. So we'll say if users dot has message dot username. I forget what all the properties are. We're going to log the message, but only if it's valid. So now in the Twitch chat, you can do !pin, followed by a space, followed by a number between 0 and 100, followed by a space, followed by a number between 0 and 100. And we should see it in the chat now. Are people doing it? We got one, and it didn't show up. Well, oh yeah, I mean, we haven't done anything with the map yet, but I'll show you what we're going to do with it in a second. It'll return... You will get false return for valid numbers. Check my validation function. If the number is not nan, return false. If the number is nan, return false, and then return if it's within those coordinates. All right. Let's try again. And thank you, Mark Boots. We'll use it. There we go. So it's working. It's working. Nice. Oh, this is great. This is I couldn't ask for anything better. Thank you very much, Mark. Pin the tail on the pig. Yeah, 10 out of 10 pigtail. That's a fantastic pigtail. All right, let's replace it, and we'll have to adjust the image size as well. So this is 343 by 329. 343, 329. I want it way smaller than that. I mean, I think I could just do... Do I want a percentage? Can I do a percentage width here? Like... 10%. That's pretty good. that's pretty good. Okay. All right, back to coding this thing up. So I don't want to see the message. I actually want to see the tags, because tags is the full object that has all of the properties on it. So send a few more !pin messages, and we can look at them like this. So we get a bunch of stuff in here. The thing that I care about is the username, but there is also the display name, which might be different. So for tacititian, those are the same. But if we look at for well, that was the wrong way to do that. For anyone else, your display name has capitalization in it, like Tim's car. You can see that has capitalization, whereas the username does not have capitalization in it. And we want to, first we'll use username on the object. So we'll say if users has message.username, you're done. We don't want to do this again, because if you have already pinned something, we're going to put it into the map. Actually, this doesn't have to be a map. This could be a set, because a set will automatically have unique values. Is there a has function on a set? Looks like there is. Okay. So the idea with the set is it's going to have everyone's username in it that has done a pin. And if they have already pinned, has will return true, so we don't let them pin again. So if they've pinned before, return. Don't let them do it. If not, we'll pin it to the page. So we'll say set pinned tails. We're going to get the previous tails, and we want to return an array that has all of the previous tails and a new object in it, which is this new pinned tail that looks like this. Boom. But it's going to have the X value, the Y value, and then the username is going to be tags at display name or tags.username. Great. And then we add it, or we put it into the map. So after we've put them here, we'll say users dot add message.username. So the idea here is they won't be able to pin something onto the page twice. Great. I'm going to get rid of my example, and then this should just work. I think I also want to, actually, before I get rid of the example, I want to put the username on the page somewhere. So let's do like a div that has the image and the username next to it. Class name tail container. And then we'll throw a little h3 with the pin.username. And we need some CSS. So the tail container, I think, should be a flexbox. It needs to be justify tracks. What is that? Never used that. Flex direction is column. Justify content center. Align items center. That should put the username centered right below the tail itself. Figure, image, fig caption. I could, and I appreciate you saying that, because that would be the semantic way to do it, but I don't feel like it. I don't feel like doing that. Oh, look at that. It's off. We actually need, I guess we need to position the whole container. Right now we're not doing that. Because you can see the image is fixed position, but the container is not. So really, we want this to be on the container. But the reason I hesitate is because if you have a really long username, that's actually going to affect the position of the tail. I think. Yeah. Let's actually just do a paragraph tag so it's smaller. Great. And then we want to get rid of all the margin on it. I mean, I guess technically the paragraph tag here has some default margin. So if we do no margin, yeah, the name is now really, really, you can't see it, but it's really, really close to the tail. Great. Now we always run into this issue where we actually want that, well, oh yeah, it's working. It's technically working. Yeah, you can pin right now. They'll show up on the page. I don't want to do it on hover because this is just going to be an overlay. Like I won't be able to click it at all. It's just going to be on the screen. But we need white text with a black outline is what we need. Why aren't these showing up? Oh, I don't have any. I mean, they still should show up. The key goes here. All right, try again. Bad programming. So, Tim's car showed up. But then what happened to, Sorar? Let's see. Only the first one shows. There can be only one. Yeah, I must be putting something in. Oh yeah, it's not mess. Isn't it message.username? I thought it was. It's tags. It's tags.username. That's why. So, for those of you following along at home, we essentially put undefined into the set, and then the next time around, undefined was already in the set, which is true. Okay, try again. Try again. There we go. That's what we want to see. However, we need to update the text. We need to make it. Wait. Yeah, people's tail size is now relative to the length of their name. Well, no, it's because I believe it's because their names are smaller, right? Or their names are longer. This doesn't make any sense. We need to fix width that tail though, for sure. So right now I have it as a percentage. Oh, because it's a percentage of the container, and then the container is bigger if the username is longer. We're gonna just fix pixel it. We're gonna do 50 pixels. There we go. So now everyone's tail should be the same size. Well, I want the pig to be on there because people should make educated guesses. Like in a real game of pin the tail on the pig or pin the tail on the donkey, which is a game people play, usually they're around where the tail should be. All right, we need text with an outline. CSS text outline. WebKit stroke. Stroke? Text shadow? I guess text shadow would probably do it. I feel like we always run into this where like I want to add some outline, and it never works. Let's see what this does for us. Do I need to keep it as WebKit? Ah, that's not horrible. Look at that. We could even go bigger. That's too big. That's 1.5. I also want to reduce the font size though, like 15 pixels. And then 1.3. Here's the thing, when the text is really small, this just doesn't really work. Yeah, see, it looks kind of weird. 15.234323232. So honestly, text shadow will probably look better. Yeah, thank you, Awaited. Let's just use this. It's probably gonna look better. That looks good. I like that, right? We got rid of these, didn't we? Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. A bold display font. That looks good. If someone picks the same point, oh no, it's fine. They should be overlapping. I think one thing we'll do is we'll make their name disappear after like 5 or 10 seconds. That's gonna be tricky in React, but we'll make it happen. Basically, in yeah, and then this will have a class name of pin.classname. Initially, pin.classname is nothing, and then eventually we're going to set that class name to be hidden. And this just is display none. So here's what we're going to do. After 5 seconds, the name will disappear. We're going to set that up right here. We're going to do a set timeout. That in 5 seconds we'll basically do an update. So what we're going to do is we're going to say set pinned tails. We get the previous one, but we want to map it. But if p.username is equal to this username, like this. So if its username is equal to this username, we're going to say p.classname equals hidden. Otherwise, we just return the thing itself. And so now, after 5 seconds, we do a state update to set class name to hidden, and then that should be used down here, which will hide the username. Let's see if it works. So after 5 seconds, well, it's not going to work for this one because that one's hard-coded. But yeah, let's count to 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's gone. Great. 2, 3, 4. Oh, but now we actually see the issue where when the name disappears, the the tail slightly shifts because the name isn't there anymore. Here's what we'll do. We'll just say visibility is hidden. So that way it's still on the page. And also, I like that this actually, or we could set the opacity to 0. I think visibility hidden is going to give us the same thing. But what I like about this is wherever your tail shows up on the screen will be slightly adjusted based on the length of your username. So if you have a long username, the top left corner of your tail is going to be further out than you actually expect it to be. But yeah, actually, I like the idea of opacity because then it'll fade out. That'll be great. Opacity 0, and then here we can say transition duration 500 milliseconds, like that. And now they'll just fade away. Change the alignment to flex start. Yeah, but we could. I don't think I want to though. Let's see, do they fade? Yeah, they fade. Look at that. Oh yeah, you're actually you're totally right. We don't even have to do this with JavaScript. We could just make it fade away over 5 seconds. Or fade out. We could add a fade out animation. It's fine. It's working. I'm gonna leave it. Can we add an ellipses to the text and fix the size of the pin? But then people's usernames will be cut off. Yeah, I think that's another thing we can add is whoever is the closest should have their name stay on the screen. Like if they're the closest, their name stays there. But as someone gets closer, yeah. All right. Here's the other thing we're going to do. We're just going to set the overall opacity of the container to be like 0.7. Yeah, that way that you can like kind of see them overlapping. Yeah. Okay. So, the whole game, let's say, lasts until someone gets within 0.1% of the actual location. No, like let's say if you get within, we'll figure out the percentage. If you get within X percentage of the actual location, you win. Everyone else's tails disappear, and then the game resets. So let's get that going. We want to check and see if this is a winner. So we'll say is winner equals check winner with their coordinates, which are x, y, and then the game state. Well, no, then we need access to game state. Yeah, I think that's a good plan, Leaky, because we'll actually show the coordinates on the screen. All right, I want to check the winner, but I'm inside of this use effect that does not have access to game state, and game state is the thing that actually has Pig's actual coordinates on it. So how do we do that? I think we could actually have a separate use effect going that just checks every single pinned tail every 1 second. Yeah, separate use effect would be the way to solve it, I think. But this is what, like, tell me React hooks are not weird for situations like this. Like, really, how would I do this without a separate hook? And then now that I have the separate hook, like, that technically is going to rerun every time all of, like, any time a new pin tail is added to it. Yeah. I don't know. We're going to make a separate use effect. I haven't uploaded a video to YouTube in a very long time. So the answer is I don't know. But if you go to twitch.tv/codinggarden/videos, you can watch all of the recent streams, including the broken one from an hour ago, from the past 60 days. So my streams stay up on Twitch for 60 days. And you can watch it there. Okay. Yeah, we'll get this going. So we need a separate use effect. It goes like this. It depends on the game state and on the pinned tails. Yeah. And so whenever either of those things change, we're actually just going to iterate over all of the pin tails. What is my favorite Linux distro and why? That's something I'm trying to figure out right now. If like before about a month ago, if I had to choose, I would just pick Ubuntu because it's really easy. But I've been doing a lot of research and looking into stuff, and I mean, Ubuntu is just based on Debian, and on one of my little PCs that's just like running like Linux without a desktop, I put straight Debian on it, and I really like it. It's like really fast. It doesn't have all the bloat of Ubuntu and all that. So I like Debian. Debian's cool. I think what I'm going to do when I eventually do switch to Linux is I'm going to use Debian or Debian. How do you say it? Debian? And I'm going to pick a desktop environment. So KDE? I don't know. I got to figure that out. I could use memo to check the closest and the winner. It's going to work the same way. Debian? Pop! OS is cool too, but it's also based on Ubuntu. There's a lot of distributions that are just based on Ubuntu, and Ubuntu itself is just a customization of Debian. Deb as in Deborah. So, I don't know. All right, what do I want to do here? I want to find the closest one. Starts off as null. And then for every single one, we want to find the distance. The distance between that pin and then the actual one. And if that distance, so we want to find the distance between the pin and the pig. So gamestate.pig. And if that distance, so we'll say I don't know. We need this. It starts off as 100. Is our pig between one? Yeah, our pig is between 0 and 100. Infinity. The thing is, yeah, okay, we'll make it infinity. Like, I was thinking, like, what's the maximum possible distance? We just need this to be a really high number, like, bigger than anything it could be. Can't I give gamestate.pig for the initial assignment? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? So we'll say if the distance is less than the closest distance equals that distance, and the closest pin equals that pin. Great. So we do this for every single one, and then at the end of it all, we have the closest pin and its distance. Infinity should be fine. Really, we could just set it. I mean, honestly, we could set it to the first one in the array. Infinity is fine. Infinity is fine. So we need a find distance function, which doesn't exist, but we'll write it. So we get the coordinate 1 and coordinate 2, and then we need the distance formula. Yeah, so we just want math.square root of max distance equals 100. That's what I was thinking. Like, what's the maximum distance would be if pig is in the top left corner and someone guesses the bottom right corner. But what's that distance? The distance between 0, 0 and 100, 100. What's that distance? That would be the max distance. I don't think it's 100. It's more than 100 because it's the diagonal of a 100 by 100 square. Right? 150? I don't know. We could figure that out. But honestly, infinity is fine and it's going to work. Has anybody given me the distance formula? What's the distance formula? square root of x minus xy plus y. Here it is. So x2 minus x1. So we want coordinate 2 dot x minus coordinate 1 dot x. I can't read your name. Coding Train! Welcome in! Thank you for the raid! Oh man. It's been so long since I've been able to actually like watch your streams. Oh, my shoutout bot is broken. Everyone go check out Coding Train. https://twitch.tv/Coding Train. Thank you for the raid. Thank you all for being here. This is the Coding Garden. And right now we're making a game. So this is my dog. His name is Panzer. We call him Pig. And we're making a game so that you can send a chat message that pins a tail on the pig. And so far we've got it putting them up like that. So let's just refresh the page. I think, yeah, I'll just refresh the page. But what we're doing right now is we're trying to find a winner. So at this point in the chat, you can do !pin followed by 2 numbers. And I need to fix that, but my alerts go off twice. But 2 numbers. You want it's basically a percentage x and a percentage y. And Coding Train has had a Twitch channel for a while. Yeah, so we're doing JavaScript. This is right now we're actually doing it in React. So yeah, you can pin anywhere on the screen a value between 0 and 100, and that's a percentage of the screen height and width. What we're doing now is determining, you're on his leg, we're determining the one that's closest to where it actually should be. And actually, now that I think about it, we're going to have to do some more maths, because right now I'm calculating the distance to the top left corner, and we don't want that. We want the distance to right there, to where his tail goes. So that's what we're doing. So right now we're let's get this distance formula working. So we want x2 coordinate, his x1 coordinate squared. So we're gonna pow it, math.pow of that and 2. And we want that plus the same thing for y. Y, there. So that's gonna give us the distance. And what we're trying to do right now is find the closest one. And let's see it. So I'm gonna stop logging the messages, and I'm only gonna log the closest one. Okay, refresh the page. There you go. So since Kodrako is the only one on the page, they are the closest. Now Mikhat is the closest. Now Dennis should be the closest, right? Or no, Etsy is technically. Oh no, so we're right. We're calculating the distance to right here. So technically, this one is the closest. Cool. Yeah, we're using React. That's why it's .jsx. Okay, so I think it's working. It's finding the closest one. But what we need to do now is we need to adjust those x coordinates so that it's right here on where his tail actually should go. So let me find where that should be. I'm just gonna put a circle on the screen. So I can find the relative location. So we'll give a style. Basically a style like this. It's going to have a width of 20 pixels, a height of 20 pixels, and flip the dog around and the problem is solved. True. I mean, but it would be too high, I think, because it would still technically be a little bit too high. And then we'll do a border radius of 50%. That should give us a circle, right? Background, red. Yeah. So I want to adjust the maths so that this red dot appears over here. Let's see what we need to do. Y plus 10. X plus the width. 34? It's too much. 30. I'm just gonna, this is all I'm gonna do. So 30 and then 5. 5, 25. It's pretty good, honestly. We could do 26. Yeah, right there. Perfect. So this is the value that we need. We need to add 5 to the y and add 26 to the x. So it's a percentage value, right? So basically, this 5 and 26 should be constant, no matter what. I'm definitely not going to turn off slow mode, but it's not. Look, it's broken. Well, I guess because it doesn't adjust. Should be fine. 5 and 26 are our numbers. So right here. So we'll say let tail coordinate is going to be x is gamestate.pig.x plus 26. And then the y is plus 5. Great. But I need to do this. If there is no pig, don't do anything yet. Line 72 dot y. Thank you. And what's failing here? Cannot access property X. Line 72. Yeah, I just fixed that here. If not. Okay. Now it should be good. So now, well, now in the chat, you can do exclamation mark pin followed by 2 numbers. It should show up. And now we should be calculating the closest one to right there. Right there. So right now, Elf is my name is the closest. Now Chief Mustardo, Kevin is closer, technically. Yeah, Kevin is the closest right now with a distance of 4.2. I feel like what you're saying, LT Nightshade, makes sense, but I wanna just assume that it's gonna work. But let's be sure. We're gonna put that red dot on the screen always. Also, it'll give people an idea of what they need to aim for. So this is always going to be on the screen. This is a div. We have plus 5 and plus 26. It has a width of 20 pixels. And a background of red, opacity of 0.6, and a border radius. 50%. See, so it works with where the page loads, and like that's the coordinate that we're headed for. If I resize the page, it breaks, and that's fine because I'm never going to resize the page. So this gets fixed to 1920 by 1080. Yeah, it doesn't need to adjust to the window size. It does not. If it did, we'd have to do more work, but we don't. So right now, Dennis is the clonus. Dennis Donuts is 6.2 away. You're right. It's the top left of this square. So let's not make it that. We'll find a better one. That's perfect. So if you put your tail right there, that's a winner on the top left of that corner. So 5 and 29. We should probably put these in variables, but it's fine. It's fine. So I'm actually going to keep this on the screen and translate -50%, -50%. So I'm going to keep this on the screen, but with just a really low opacity. So you can see what you're aiming for. It's going to become a huge esport. Yeah, exactly. We'll put the border radius back. We'll just make it smaller. The distance is also relative to the top left of the tail image, or no? So the distance is relative to the center of this little dot right here. So Dennis Donuts, you're doing great. You're winning right now. How in the heck did that break? There's a key issue. Oh, yeah, you're totally right, Deezer. So now that sucks. That sucks so bad. We're calculating the distance from the top left of the tail instead of the, I guess if we did the bottom left of the tail. We'll figure this out. And then it's not just the bottom left of the tail, it's the bottom left of the container, including the username. Yeah. Well, I think the main issue is we're in the DOM. Like, this isn't a game engine. It's not meant for doing this kind of like coordinate calculation. Right now, Indy Sakanda or Sankta. Yeah. So regardless of what transform we use, our distance function has to be adjusted. Yeah, the issue with get client rectangle is now I need a reference to the DOM, and we're in React, so that's tricky when you have an array of things. So yeah, technically, yeah, that would be really nice if I could just do get client rectangle of this image. That will give me the bounding box of just the image, and then I could get the bottom left coordinate. However, we are in React, and it doesn't make that easy. So we can do use ref, but this is an array of elements. So how do we do use ref with an array of elements? It's probably possible. I think I'm going to figure that out because that's going to be the easiest way to get the actual bottom left location of that tail. All right, React use ref array of refs. Adding React refs to an array of items. Right, but yeah, now we have a map. The solution is use the element as a parameter, which allows you to assign the element however we want. I like this one because it's kind of like mapped by name. Let's go here. So so we need a use ref for the tail. We're going to call this the tail refs. And instead of an object, this is going to be a map. It's going to map from username to their given tail. And we need to pull in use ref. Great. And then what it's telling us to do is ref accepts a little callback that can set the thing. And so we want to do that inside of the map here. We want to ref to the image. So ref, now this is going to be pin refs, tail refs, dot current, dot add or set username element. Hello query set. It's on. I'm just coding. I don't know. Whoa, how in the heck were you able to do an improv suggestion? I guess, you know what? I never repaused it. So that makes sense. But here, take all your points back. And then I need to... Oh goodness, it's frozen. Well, won't worry about that now. Okay, yeah, so we've got that. That should be setting it based on the username. And is that how a map works? Say map dot... Is it set? It is map dot set with a key and a value. Is that what I did? Map dot set with a key and a value. Great. Now, when we do this, we get the pin. We can get the element. That's going to be tailrefs.current.get pin.username. And we can get the bounding client rectangle. Get bounding client rect. Is that the right function name? Did I spell it right? Yeah. And that has an X location and a Y location. And so what we want to pass in is where the X is the same thing, so rect.x, but the Y is rect.y plus rect.height. Does this give us a height? Yeah, height. Get wrecked. So should be fine. Yeah, we should probably do some checkings to make sure that tailrefs.current actually is a thing and that we actually get back the element. But let's just assume that it works. So right, refresh the page. Rect.bottom. That's funny. All right. Try to pin something onto the page. There we go. Dennis Donuts, you're really good at this game. Like, you have really good initial guesses. The thing is, you can only pin once. So you only get one try. So technically, the people that go first have it worst off. Oh, that's a good one. Who is that? RBI? All right, so we've done it wrong because RBI should be winning right now, and right now I'll waited. Let's stop turning off username so we can make sure that we're looking at the right one. We don't want to do this anymore. Hello, Griffway. Yeah, I'm doing good. we've done something horribly wrong. All right, Joy Coder is closer. Dennis Donuts is closer. And it's not working. Could I easily make it so that the closest name stays on? Yeah, I mean, I could upstate a state variable to set the closest one. This is okay for now. I just need to figure out what I'm doing wrong here. Oh! These need to be mapped between 0 and 100. X out of window dot inner width times 100 divided by window dot inner height times 100. That's the problem. All right, let's try again. $99.99? Okay, yeah. Dennis Donuts is still winning. Here's the thing. You can look at the chat to see what Dennis Donuts did and then slightly adjust it to get closer. Dennis Donuts is still the winner. Lucas, there we go. That's really close. The distance is 1.8. Look at that. Yeah, I think we've done it. So, can anyone get closer than Lucas? Yeah, Lucas is still the closest. So they did 33.47. There we go. Moderator got it. 33.46. Cool. So what we're going to do now is if that distance is less than 1.5, you win the game. That's it. That's it. That's all. You win the game. So the closest distance we've calculated at this point, and we'll say if closest distance is less than or equal to 1.5, we've got a winner. We're going to set winner to be the closest pin. And then the game is over. So we'll set the winner. We will hide everyone else, and then like 5 seconds later, the whole thing resets. Can we z-index the closest one? So here's the thing. If I wasn't using React, it'd be really easy. I mean, actually, I guess I could do this. So we find the closest one. We then update the game state so that the closest one knows that it's the closest one. Let's actually do this. We'll set the closest to be the closest pin. So we'll have two state variables. We'll have the closest one and then the winner. And when we get a winner, we'll be good to go. So where are we at? Right here. So we need a closest pin and set closest pin. Starts off as null. Then we'll also have a winner. I mean, technically, whenever the winner is less than a certain amount, so we'll just say have winner starts off as false. Wrong tool for the job. I mean, it's a fun challenge in general. Set closest pin, set winner true. Was that what I called them? Set have winner. I mean, fine. Okay. Now, if the closest pin, if you are the closest pin, I'm basically gonna always show your username next to your pin. So if closest pin is equal to pin, then never try to hide the thing. Otherwise, you can possibly hide it. And then I guess the other thing is we'll actually add a class to it. So we have some other CSS for hidden. We'll just add one for closest. And that will set the color to red. All right, so now the closest person's name will show up in red. Maybe? Did I break everything? There we go. So that's not working. Let's see what I was doing up here to set the closest pin. We're setting the closest pin. Should be the exact same thing. We're just gonna make it a username. Because I think the object references are getting messed up. So this is just going to be closest pin.username. So right here, if the closest pin is equal to pin.username, set closest pin is not defined. You're right. It's just set closest. Can't access property username closest pin to is null. All right, try now. So exclamation mark pin followed by 2 coordinates. I've broken it. Okay. Closest pin is not defined. I think, did I just rename it to closest? It's just closest now. All right. Try again. If my linter was working, I'd probably have a lot better time coding. Yeah. Vite is pretty nice. Yeah, I like it. All right, I need to continue logging the closest one because this ain't happening. All right, Cleopatra is the closest, but they, for whatever reason, are not getting the closest class name set on them. So we set the closest to be their username. We're saying if it's equal to the pin's username, then we're going to add the closest class. This does exist, and this attempts to set the color of the text to red. We are calling set closest. You can only try once, yeah, and you can't move your guess around. So Wonderfield is the closest. We are comparing closest So if closest is equal to pin.username, then we want to apply the closest class. Apparently pin.username is wrong. What are we setting that as? Either display name or username. I'm also going to do this hidden false, and then down here we'll do multiple classes. So if closest is equal to pin.username, then closest. If pin.hidden, then we want hidden. Cool, and then I'll make it so that if you are both close and hidden, you're not hidden because you're close. Let's try again. Well, I'm no longer setting closest.username to be an object. Now it's just closest, because I'm just setting it to the string. Set closest to the username. I guess if we look at the key of the div, let's also set the ID. Like pin.username should be the right thing, right? Yeah, look at that. So if you look at this, oh, there's a comma. Okay, it's working now. It's working now. I just need to join these all together. I don't know what I was doing any different before. And this needs to be class name. Well, it is. Okay. All right, one more time. Dennis Donuts doing really great. Okay, now Joy Coder is closer. I mean, the class. See, here's the thing. The class is getting put on there, but it's just not getting applied. Joy Coder. Container P closest. Oh, it's just getting overridden. It's getting overridden by a more specific selector. Why didn't we think of that? All right, one more time. Hey, all right. And then the other thing we can do is if you are close, we can set your Z index to 99999, like someone mentioned earlier. So now the closest one is always on top. Captain Ashtar. They look like worms. They're pigtails. They're pigtails. Cool. And then the other aspect is we can start hiding the ones that aren't close anymore. Hello, Natsuko. Thanks for being here. All right, Dubduzer, number 1. Arbayi is the closest now. Joy Coder is the closest. Yeah, another game where you actually give him pigtails, like hairdo pigtails. Cool. The names aren't disappearing anymore. Oh, I didn't want it. So if p.username is that, p.hidden is true. And if p.hidden, we also want to put a class on, I think, on the container to give the whole thing some opacity. Hidden. And so now we can do tail container itself dot hidden. We'll set its opacity to like 0.3. So after 5 seconds, it gets harder to see. Yeah, we actually don't want that to happen for the winner. Cool. So we will turn it off. So if pin is hidden and closest does not equal pin.username, then we're going to add the hidden class to the container. Cool. Cool. Yeah, we could set a helper, but here's the thing. There's been a lot of good suggestions today. I just don't feel like doing them because it works. It works without that. I think the other thing is we can set the transition duration on the container. Where did we set the transition duration before? Put it on the p tag. I'm going to put it on the container as well. Cool. Yeah, this is pretty good. Now, at this point, we just kind of end the game. So whenever someone... so we can stop logging that. But whenever someone's distance is less than 1.5, we set has winner to true. And then we're going to get rid of all the other tails on the page except for that winner, and then we will reset. That's what makes it tricky here is like this listener here, I want to be able to check the game state. And so because I'm inside of a use effect, that makes that tricky. I do this all the time. Elf is my name. We make really crappy games that we built in a couple of hours, and you all get to play test them. Yeah, so I mean, we are immediately setting the winner. So the moment we find the closest one, we're setting the winner. I'm just having a crisis because really this code can't be in this use effect. because it needs access to game state, which makes me want to not even use React state at all. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's the thing. I'll go ahead and code that, like what LT Nightshade is doing. So basically, after someone has won, we get rid of all the other pins, except for the one that won. So right here we can just do set pinned tails, and this is just p.filter p.username like this. P.username is equal to the closest pin.username. Okay. Easy. When somebody wins, they are now the only one on the page. However, I want to wait 5 seconds or so before other people can submit new ones, and I need to like reset the location on the screen. And so I kind of want to prevent new messages from coming in here. I mean, I guess I don't even have to do that with state. We can do this. I have an idea. And this should actually work just fine because there's only one component on the page. It's totally fine. Const global game state is here. And this is just a plain old object. Say winner is false. And it's just as easy as that. So in the real world with React, we'd figure out a better way to do this, but this is fine. So I'm just going to say set global game state dot winner is true. And then right here in here, I should have access to that latest value because it's actually, I mean, I don't know if I will actually, but because it's outside of the app, I don't think it's affected by the use effect. It should just be able to access the thing. So what we can do is we can say if there is a winner, just return winner ignoring message. That's the main thing I was having an issue with that we needed to solve was this. So now nobody can add to the page after somebody has won. And then after 5 seconds or so, we can reset that and reset everything on the page and put pig in a new location. Let's try it. All right, we reset. Cleopatra is the closest. Great. Yeah, and so for those of you that are just joining us in the chat, you can do !pin followed by 2 numbers, and that's a number between 0 and 100, and that's the percentage on the screen that it is between the X and the Y. And right now, Dennis Donuts is the closest, but you have to be within 1.5% of the actual tell location to win. So if you're smart, you'll look at Dennis Donuts' message and adjust your value to be a little bit less than what Dennis Donuts guessed. Probably like a lesser X value. Oh, Heavy Rain is closer, but it's not still not 1.5%. Oh, no. We adjusted it. So now we absolutely are looking at this bottom left value right here. The one, not the name, but we're looking at the tail. We fixed that. All right, what did Heavy Rain guessed it 75 13. So that's XY. So if you want to win this, you should guess 74 74 13. All right, Acid Spark got a little bit closer, so look at what Acid Spark said and go like. Actually, it's really hard to see now. It's really because there's so many. Oh, we got a winner. All right, we got a winner. And there's a bunch of errors in the console. Maximum update depth exceeded. This can happen when a component calls set state inside of a use effect. I need to fix that. So really, if there's a game state winner, we don't check for pintails anymore. That should fix that. Cool. All right, let's try again. And good job, Kate. Good job. But let's try again. See if we can get past that error. Is the distance calculation not related to the tail image that is offsetted by the username? It's just that we fixed it. So it's actually just calculating the difference, the distance from the bottom left corner of this image to the center of that little red dot right there. That's what it's doing. And CloudGator, good guess. Fraser has won. Great. We have a winner. We're ignoring other messages. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm glad it's worked out. So now really what we need to do is like after 5 seconds or so, we reset the board, we put the pig in a new location. Okay, so I'm just going to do that right here in 5 seconds. We'll do in 7 seconds. So in 7 seconds, we are going to set pintails to be none, and we're going to set the initial game state like this. And we will also set winner to false. And this global thingy to false as well. Let's see if that does it. All right. If 350 people don't get within the 1.5, we could do something where the game resets after like 5-10 minutes or something like that. I'm not gonna worry about that. What is Panzer's view on this game? I don't know. He probably likes it. All right. I don't think our z-index thingy is working. Acid Spark, great work. Great work. All right, let's see if the whole thing resets in 7 seconds. Or it just breaks. It's reset, and so now you should be able to do some pins. Nice. Nice. That's our game. That's our game. So here's what I can do. We can add a new browser source. That is the thing. Hello, Electrothermal. Happy Friday to you as well. Thanks for dropping in. Why isn't it loading? I should have this. Because Veet is not listening on my like local IP address. That's unfortunate. All right, give me a second. vite config server port host. I should be able to do this, so it's listening on all addresses, I think. Yeah. Great. There we go. There's a pig on the screen, and you should be able to try and pin to it. Cool. Yeah, they're showing up. I guess I could make. I should make the font size a little bit bigger. So now that we have it on the screen, we can do some style adjustments. Let's go bigger. Let's go 30 pixels. Yeah. Well, that actually adjusts the location of everything. So let's refresh this whole thing. Okay, there we go. So he's here. You want to put your tail right there. So you're guessing a percentage of the screen width between 0 and 100 and a percentage of the screen height, 0 and 100. So now Cleopatra is technically closer than one. How is that possible? What did Cleo? Yeah, somebody broke it. What did you do? What did you guess, Cleopatra? 90, 45? Is there a dot on my head? Is that the dot? Is that the dot right there? Okay. So somehow our calculation of the tail location is very wrong. So try to put the tail here. You can see that Never Lucky got really close. Right there. Right there. Put it right there. Hello, Pranjal. I'm doing good. What's up, Katoli? It's been a while. Right there. Right there. Right there. Okay. Let's fix this. Oh, good job, artifacts. Get really close. But we need to adjust where it initially shows up. And we're going to put these in constants, because at this point, tail location adjustment. And so it has an X. Right now we were doing 5, and it has a Y. Right now we were doing 26. We need to fix that. But we will use this here. .x, .y. And then down here, .y, .x. And we want it to be a nice red dot. Yeah, so right now it's showing up way down there, which is not good. We need to fix that. All right, X needs to go a little bit more. Y. Did I swap the X and the Y in the constants? So Y is 3. Great. And then X should be like 9. Well, that's too much. 8? Yeah, right there. 3.7, 7.7. Did I switch things though? So this is pig X plus location adjustment, pig Y plus location adjustment. I think we've got it. Joy Coder is now currently the closest one. Dennis Donuts again with a really good guess. They have a ruler on their screen at home. they're figuring it out. Moderator underscore. Shh. We have 2 winners right now. I did not account for that. What if 2 of them have the exact same coordinates? Why did the pig move all of a sudden? What's happening? We need to just reload this thing. Race condition? 2 winners, 1 restart? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Is that what's happening? 2 people, is that what if you saw the chat messages, did 2 people guess the exact same thing? Well, no, this should the moment there's a winner, this won't run again. So Kinsey's really close. Let's see what happens. So it found a winner, and then like immediately everyone was able to guess again. Is that what happened? Because I don't even know what happened. Joy Coder was really close. Would you say a beginner? Would you say an overlay game like this is beginner friendly or something more suited for someone? This is extremely beginner friendly. Okay, we have a winner. CGR DMZ, great work. And then it should reset in like that many. Yeah. It's actually really easy to do something like this. So if I had to choose again, I would not use React to build this thing. We could do it with vanilla JS. You could do it with even a JavaScript game library, and then ultimately inside of whatever broadcasting software you use, you just add a browser overlay set to that URL. And so that's how I have this appearing on the screen right now. Yeah, that's what should happen, Sandora Mix. Like the first person to be closest should win. I think somehow that wasn't the case. Oh, you know what it was? I think it was just because of the live reload. So because I was gradually adjusting this value, that was messing with the state of the page itself. I think we should be good now. I haven't. I mean, Katuli, I read that email, but I haven't responded to it, and I need to. Which also is like a commentary on the state of things, because there's just a lot of stuff that I haven't done or commented on. So like that. So because the page refreshed, now everything is still being calculated according to that one, but it shouldn't, because we only wanted to have 1 winner on the page. Okay. We did it. We're done. Oh yeah, you're totally right. We need to reset the list of usernames. So we set a winner, and then we need to do something like what did we call it? Users? Yeah, users.clear. So that way people can send things again after winning. All right. We're going to go back to this screen. We're going to move the game to this screen. What do I think of Tailwind? I think it's fine. I don't prefer it. I like to just put my CSS in a CSS file. It's not hard to do. And I prefer that over a bunch of CSS classes in my template or in my HTML. But some people like it, and that's great. Copy. Paste reference. There we go. Cool. All right. Feel free to play the game. This took me way too long. This took me... I mean, we've been live for over 2.5 hours. I guess beginning of the stream, I was like fixing all the stuff that was broken. But, yeah, I mean, I think the answer to I disagree. I think if you're new to Tailwind, and good job. I think did we get a winner? I think we got a winner. I think if you're new to Tailwind, it's really easy to not be organized and have a ton of duplication, because you end up just copying and pasting a list of CSS class names to various places in your app and on your page or whatever. So in my opinion, and what I've seen, it seems a lot easier to have a lot of code duplication. Now, obviously, there's an answer to that, right? There's Tailwind tools that will essentially like combine common lists of class names into reusable classes and stuff like that. But for someone like newer to Tailwind and someone that doesn't know how to set that up, I would argue that you have a lot more duplication, and your code is messier. Is the game broken? Yeah, is the game broken right now? What happened? Well, there's Wanma over here. Actually, no. So Ennis is the closest, and I think they're not close enough. So we can see. Let's see, Ennis. Ennis got close, but not close enough. All right, I'm gonna win this thing. I'm gonna snipe it. Well, I didn't snipe it. Yeah, and I think that's a good point. The artifacts, like, you can have duplicate and messy code regardless of what you use. It's just easier to duplicate and have messier code in some places than other. I don't know. I mean, Ennis is still close. Like, let me look at their chat history. So let's look at their most recent message. 2530. 2530 was their guess. So guess around 2530. And only if you haven't guessed before, which may be hard. All right, Chief Mastardo did 24.9, and it ended up further to the right? What? True, Bixario, but I don't know if I'm going to fix that. It's like, that's for version 2, but I could absolutely see that happening. All right, I just reset it. You know where all the bugs are coming from? The fact that we're using React. Like, I'm mixing like external variables with React state, which you shouldn't do. But I'm afraid of over rendering. So I don't know. Increasing the win radius. Oh, yeah. So just like that. So there was a winner. And then the game reset. But then the next winner was, yeah. Something like that. Cool. The game's broken. I'm going to leave it just like that. I'll put it on GitHub. Feel free to fix it if you want. It's here. It's messy. And it's fine. Also, can we get a happy birthday for our friend Panzer in the next episode? We never touch this code again. So yeah, Panzer is my dog. This is him. This is why we built the thing. He turned 6 years old last week. I'm proud of him. He's a good dog. And this episode of Coding Garden was dedicated to him. And we built a game that sometimes works with the image of his face. We just can't have too many winners within a certain number of seconds. Cool. All right, I'm going to leave now. I got work to do. We are going to go on a raid, though. Panzer is a boy. He's 6 years old. If you are a sub, you can use that raid message. If you're not a sub, you can use this raid message. And I don't know where we're going to raid or where we're going to go, but wherever we go, oh yeah, this is definitely the scene. This is fine. The code we wrote, completely fine. Am I worried that there's bugs in it? No, because we built a thing, and it worked sometimes. Sometimes it works, and that's good enough for me. All right, and the code will be on GitHub, so just github.com/codinggarden if you want to. It's not there yet, but it will be there. It'll be like at the top because it's the most recent repo. And if you want to try and fix it, you totally can. All right, we're going on a raid. Next stream is planned for Friday. And I appreciate you all. Thanks for hanging out with me. Very obviously, this is a weird one, but we still had fun. Alrighty, wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.